Okay, folks, it is right up top of the hour, 1 o'clock. Thanks for making the trek to get from here from the meal hall. I know it's a bit of a trek. Yeah, I didn't even go to the lunch over there. I just went over to CNN Center because it's closer. Quite seriously, it's closer. All right, so to get started, let me kind of do some polling in the room so I can tailor this a bit to the crowd. I have presented this content to deep technical folks. I've presented this content to sales folks, and I get varying reactions. So by show of hands, who is a customer who is a user of the system and not an implementer? Okay, excellent. Oh, I got a couple of people. All right. Who is a ISV partner, a partner who's doing implementations? Okay, awesome, cool. And who is here to figure out what this thing is? Okay, a couple of people. All right. So applications, the subject we're going to talk about, using PowerApps to build applications. This week so far, and I imagine most of you have been attending PowerApps sessions for both CDS, PowerApps Flow, Power BI, and the lot there. So this session, I'm going to try to pull some of it back together to show you the complete picture, okay? And then talk a little bit about how we see this moving forward. So before I get started, who am I? My name is Matt Barber. I am a principal architect on the Power Platform. My job is essentially looking after all the pieces of the Power Platform, making sure that they talk together, they work together. There's a solid developer story. There's a solid management story. And those pieces all fall together. I have several peers who work with me on this subject. It is a big job, and we slice the work into individual areas. I particularly look after the piece that the ISV, SI, developer, internal and external customers are using. I have peers that look after the infrastructure. I have peers that look after the analytics aspects. I have peers that look after the integration aspects. But we all talk quite a bit. So with that said, let's move into the overall meat of the content, if you will, the presentation. Now, historically, when we've talked about the Power Platform, or I should say Power Apps or Dynamics, is how we've talked about it. We've either been talking about the word that we're not supposed to use, CRM, or the Power Apps Canvas player experience. And then there's this thing on Flow on the side, and it does some workflow, okay? And it allows you to do business processes. We've also talked about this thing called Power BI, and most everybody in here is probably a user of Power BI, and if you aren't, where have you been? Power BI is really our analytics and reporting story. If I look at the sessions, the Power BI sessions are always really popular because being able to access and interact with your data is extremely important. Being able to understand what's there is extremely important. But they come across a lot of times as distinct pieces. So I'm going to say something that a lot of people look at me, and I've had 4 conversations here this week so far of people going, no, you're lying. Dynamics is built on the Power Platform. Okay, now what does that mean? It means that once you get through sales and you push the customize button, you are using the Power Platform. So if it isn't an app we shipped, or it's an app we shipped and you want to extend it, you are using the Power Platform. That means that our internal partners who build, and notice I use that term, internal partners. I'm not using the term product group. Internal partners build on the Power Platform. They are not integrated into the core product anymore. We have pulled that all apart. Each organization is responsible for their own application and lays requirements on the platform to require the platform to meet their needs, which is why you're seeing a lot of innovation in the platform over the last several months and years. Actually, the last year or so, there's been a tremendous amount of innovation. Now, what does it mean? It means that in your hands, you have an application platform. You don't have a CRM system. You don't have an ERP system. You don't have a talent system. You have an application platform. When you go and you approach a customer, or a customer approaches you in the case of an SI, or you're internally trying to schedule out a project, you could often be challenged with the questions around, I need to build some application, okay? And they vary. Insert your favorite application here. You start figuring out what you need to track, what you need to manage, how do you need to work it, what is it you're doing? The requirements phase, if you will, and generally it's a conversation in a hallway that says, wouldn't it be awesome if, insert your app here. So that sends off a developer. And when the developer asks the guy, well, I can do that for you, but how long, when do you need it? It's always now. Could you get it to me yesterday? Or I could use it next week. There's usually an unreasonable time frame established to go with the application. Anybody experience that? Yeah, if you haven't experienced it, what are you doing? And how do I get into that camp? My gosh, the ability to actually have time to work on something, wouldn't it be awesome? So when you approach that problem, whether you're discussing it with your customer or not, you begin asking a set of questions. First off, what do I start with? Now, in a general application world, if I were to start building an app in the Microsoft space, where do I start? I start in Azure. I usually almost always start in Azure. I'm starting a website. I'm going to build a mobile app. And then that starts creating questions. What language? What app types? What am I going to build? Does it need security? Does it need auditing? Which consistently seems to increase the amount of time that it takes. Ever had a customer say, I want auditing on a website? I want access auditing on a website? Ever tried to implement it? There's lots of tools out there that let you do it. There's lots of components that are out there that let you do it, but they're all components. You go out to GitHub, you get somebody's add-in. You need to do, let's say you want to do a phone app, an Android app. There's a whole set of tools that you go out to GitHub that you want to add, or you use one of the frameworks that we provide, Xamarin or some such. You have lots of different capabilities. When it comes to defining the data model, there's lots of tools on the market, Entity Framework being one of the more popular ones that we use. You have the capability inside the Azure stack to use Cosmos DB. You have SQL storage, various other capabilities depending on which kind of data you're trying to deal with. All of these are tools. And when you're approached with that kind of problem, generally you start figuring out what your timelines are and what your commitment times are to the customer, how much it's going to cost to do this development. Remember I said at the beginning that what you have here is an application platform. So when we walk into this with the statement, the Microsoft Power Platform, we, on the platform side, really cover the how of getting that job done, okay? At the end of the day, when you work with the Power Platform, you're focused in on what it is you actually need to deliver. We try to take away the difficulties of dealing with the various concepts within the infrastructure. So designing an entity, dealing with auditing, dealing with mobility, dealing with UI, all of it's there. You don't have to use it, but all of it is there, and all of it is available to you. We include packaging and distribution. We include security, access controls, field level controls, rights management, API security. And again, that auditing concept, auditing up and down the stack, GDPR compliance in a lot of ways, depending on what exactly they're doing. And our ALM story is getting better literally by the week as far as our capabilities. This is something that we've struggled with in the Power Platform for a while in our ALM space, and we're investing in heavily to bring it up to the concept that a person who is comfortable working in an Azure DevOps environment or one of the equivalent capabilities in the public sector and the public space is comfortable approaching this platform, okay? This is a bit of a different story than you've heard when we talk about CRM or we talk about PowerApps standalone, okay? This is truly the concept of the Power Platform. This is where we're going, okay? So let's carry forward and talk about that. When you think about the Power Platform, think about it like a toolbox. The toolbox is made up of many components. In this case, you have Power BI, what we talked about, analytics. You have Power Apps. Power Apps is a UI surface integration toolset. That's what it is. It's a UI toolset. Okay? You've got Flow. Flow is your business process engine, your ability to define business processes graphically and move them down. We used to call this Windows workflow. In the old world, Flow is redesigned, ground up, built on the Logic App infrastructure, built for cloud scale. Okay? It's built to handle the dream that Windows workflow was trying to push, that we could never quite get there. And we've got there now with Flow. Who here has used Flow? Just by show of hands, okay? Anybody argue with me on that? I'm curious. Anybody have an objection to that statement I just made? Good. The next major set of capabilities are what we think of more when we talk about it. They're kind of in the background. And that's our connector layer and the common data service. And we're going to talk more about the common data service and the connector layer in a moment. And this new capability that we've brought in called AI Builder. Now, AI Builder is brand new, but it is also built on the platform. It is part of the toolbox. What it is about at the end of the day is taking all that cognitive service, machine learning stuff that you can do right now today in Azure and bring it into something that is more consumable for the app dev. Okay, that's where that's going. So when we think about the various capabilities of this platform, under the substrate, of course, is Azure. And we'll talk more about that. I typically don't talk about Azure when I'm talking about the Power Platform, but I'm going to talk about it today. And built upon it is the Dynamics 365 suite. We have several features of the Office application platform that are now built upon this platform. We have mobile apps that are coming out. And of course, we've got the web apps that we provide, web apps that our partner organizations inside Microsoft provide, and web apps that our external partners also provide that are also built on the platform. Most of the time, when you're interacting with one of the web applications, you don't actually know that it is the Power Platform underneath of it. So anyone here looked at Talent? Dynamics 365 Talent? Their web portal? Yeah, a couple of folks. It doesn't look like CRM. It doesn't look like Dynamics, but it is a web application engine that is using CDS as its engine, the Power Platform as its engine. Okay? Very, very powerful. This is something that we have been working on quietly, bringing to market and bringing these capabilities to life. And we're surfacing them today through our application tier, but it is there and available. So let's move on. What are the major services of the Power Platform? At the end of the day, there are 4 boxes again, or 5 boxes again. You can think of these as the major subsystems of the Power Platform. Now, how we store data, manage data, you don't see the word database there anywhere. How we store and manage data and move things around is something that the platform deals with. And upon that data, we provide the services that you can consume. So for example, if you submit data into the system, that data is available to be consumed by applications that are already integrated with it. So putting data into the CDS infrastructure, the API infrastructure, makes it available for Power BI's consumption. Okay? You have to set a connector up, of course, for security, but it's for security. But it's available to be able to be reported upon. It makes it available in the PowerApps UI. If you want to have an application that you've built that's talking to this system, and then open up PowerApps and extend or build your own little mobile app on top of that, you can. And it's available to you with minimal infrastructure, or actually with minimal work. It's available to you. I hesitate to use the word no code. I'll use the word low code in this regard, because there are some configuration and customization you need to do when you're thinking about this. So let's move on. So how do you get started when you're starting to build an application in this world? The first thing you need to think about is the perspective. What is your perspective? Are you a web developer or a mobile app developer or a client app developer building on the language of your choice? Or are you a developer who wants to start with an application a UI. Okay? This is real critical. Now, you've heard us use the term model app and canvas app in the past. The term model here that's not the same thing. Model and canvas app refer to the two different UX engines and capabilities that currently exist in the Canvas app system, in the PowerApps system. As time progresses, we will bring those together. Anybody see Ryan's presentation concerning that? We are bringing those capabilities together as one application tier, bringing the benefits of both together. Okay? But in this case, you're deciding, am I starting with a UI first, i.e., I'm going to use the Power Platform's UX engine, PowerApps, to get the job done, or am I starting with a model? I'm going to use the Power Platform's data API to get the job done. Okay? Now, why would you choose one versus the other? If you are building out an Azure web app, or you have an existing Azure web app, or an AWS app, or a Google-based application, or something you're running at your own company, and you want to take advantage of the data services of the Power Platform, the business application services of the Power Platform, but you want to totally and completely own the user experience, you're starting with your model. Okay? Now, if you're thinking about low code or no code, that's not the way to go, because you're writing code. You're going out, building a front end. It's your job to build the front end. It's your job to build the application. We're going to support you. 100% we're going to support you. But it's your job to go do all that. If you want to depend on us to provide the application, the UI tier, then you're starting with application first. You're thinking about building out what my user experience is going to be. So let's start with the model first. When we start with model, the first thing we have to deal with is entities. Now, for the non-Dynamics background folks, these are database tables. You can think of them as database tables. Why do I say think of them as database tables versus they are database tables? Because they're not necessarily stored or managed in a relational data store. You are describing the structure of the object. Now, today, you do that anytime you use the Maker portal, make.powerapps.com or create.powerapps.com, and you define an entity inside a solution. You are actually doing this task. It is a graphical design for laying out a data model. It supports relationships, hierarchies, calculations, calculated fields. It supports lookups, pick lists. All of those capabilities are available to you through the model engine, and specifically through the definition layer that you see here. So when I go through and define that, we go through the process of defining a new entity, and we lay out its name. We lay out its properties, which define how it will be treated from a security perspective going forward. We also lay out the various attributes of that entity. Now, who here has used this experience? Okay, a couple of folks. If you haven't, I encourage you to do it. There's no harm. You can go create something in your own environment, play with it, interact with it. One of the great things and the capabilities that this provides is immediate data access. So most folks who use this, and I say most, haven't discovered the fact that there is a data tab in that table area when you click Save that links you into the ability to open it in Excel, which is a live editing view of that data tier. That allows you to go plug in your seed data, look at data directly. Security roles and rules apply. It's just like you were using a UI or an application to do it, but we provide that capability native. Yes, sir. Can you export it? Yes, you can. You can export the data from here. Yep. Okay. This is immediate. You don't need to do any work. So the next thing you get is API access. Straight away, you've got API access. You define an entity. There's no republishing, no shipping, no setup. It's there. Security is there. Auditing is there. All the infrastructure is immediately made available to you. You don't have to go compile it and ship it. Okay? So we just knocked off 2 big tasks. I didn't have to go choose a database engine. I didn't have to go do a whole bunch of table definition in code or SQL or T-SQL or whatever the language I wanted. I didn't have to implement a security system. I didn't have to implement an API gateway. I didn't have to implement API security or modeling. Okay? We natively support 2 protocols today, OData 4 and SOAP. Those are the 2 protocols. From an authentication point of view, we support today token-based authentication, so JWT-based tokens, and WS Trust. Okay? Now, I use the term today. We are beginning the process of removing support for WS Trust. We will be moving everything over to JWT tokens going forward. Okay? In the Azure Active Directory world, if you ever see the term legacy auth, they're talking about WS Trust. Okay? In the world, by show of hands, who is integrated with the Dynamics API? Okay? So in the Dynamics API, when you give it just your user account password, you are using legacy auth. Okay? We will be moving everything over to use OAuth, which generates JWT tokens. So it's OpenID Connect. Okay? We support it today. And if, in the case of the implementers, the ISSIs in here, your customer decides in Azure Active Directory to disable legacy auth, and you have written something that uses user account and password only, it ain't gonna work, okay? And it will throw errors at you that basically say legacy auth is disabled or conditional access blocks access to this, okay? So to take advantage of the newest and coolest stuff that the Azure AD folks use, you want to make sure that your applications are using OAuth and OpenID Connect. Now, this API also implements user access level and field level and row level access immediately. Okay? Again, no work for you. You also get flow. What does that mean? In the original engine, the engine that this particular capability was built on, we used Windows Workflow. That was our engine. That was our asynchronous work processing engine. It required you to go in and develop configure through a rather limited UI that we built and we never really carried forward, decision tree. And that was really all you had, was a basic decision tree, if then, else, fail. In Flow, you have a very, very large gambit of capabilities. You have the Flow connector infrastructure available to you. You have the Flow ability to model, deal with failover, fallback, schedule jobs. All of that exists in the Flow infrastructure that is natively integrated to the Power Platform. Okay? As we move forward, for those of you in the Dynamics world, and those of you using CDS directly, the asynchronous workflow engine that exists in CDS today will be fully replaced by Flow for asynchronous operations. It is about 60%, 70% done now. And you can do it, you can take advantage of it now in your Maker experiences by using a solution-aware flow. And that wires it straight in. Who here saw Ryan Jones's presentation where he talked about the connectors? And he talked about the CDS connector versus the Dynamics connector in the case of Flow and Logic apps, okay? The CDS connector is the future. The CDS connector allows us to natively integrate into the CDS aspect of the Power Platform, the engine of the Power Platform, and pass that context around in Flow. Your user doesn't have to re-authenticate, they don't have to configure connectors, it just works. Okay, that's the key. Now, we also still have, and will continue to have, the ability to run code within the Power Platform itself, which means that when you create a new record, or modify a record, or want to stand up your custom API method, we will still provide and continue to provide the capabilities to extend and add that and package and move that throughout the Power Platform. That is a core feature of the Power Platform. When building custom codes, and actually let me step back one, Event Hub, Webhook, and Service Bus at the bottom. Event Hub, Webhook, and Service Bus are our key capabilities when it comes to integrating with external systems today. Now, what does it mean? It means that I can build a webhook that will go trigger a logic app. I can build a webhook that will go trigger a Lambda function out in AWS land if I want. I can use a service bus to do a store and forward mechanic. Let's say that I have two systems. I have the Power Platform and I have my other system. And the other system doesn't necessarily have a guaranteed uptime, but I need to be able to send stuff to it. Service bus, store and forward. Okay? Make sure that it gets there. Event hubs. If I want to be able to deal with rapid, small, fast-firing events that are going to get routed, event hubs. Okay? You see the term functions up there. Functions isn't quite there yet in the public stuff, but the ability to fire and trigger and interact with functions is coming. Okay? The capabilities are in the future. Now, when making the decision as to whether or not you're going to write code, which we refer to as custom code, because of course anything that we write is native code, everything you write is custom code. We'll have to find a better term for that at some point. It's like us and you and them. When you decide to write code, you have some decisions to make. Now, Jim, I don't know if Jim's in the room. He's going to be doing a presentation here real soon on plugins and plugin development. I borrowed this from him because it's a really good explanation as to how to think about this. You have a set of decisions that you need to make. How do you want things to work? If you're running synchronous and it's on demand, in that scenario, you want to use a plugin, i.e., is it a decision that needs to be made as part of record submission? Okay? Is it in line with the API call? It's a plugin. If it is something that you want to have in line with a plugin, but you want to declaratively develop it, i.e., you want to use that if then else fail behavior, which we refer to as synchronous workflows, then you would use the legacy workflow engine to do that. If, on the other hand, it is something that runs asynchronously, you have a choice. You can either use a plugin or you can use a webhook to call a function today. Okay? Now, that's your choice as to which one you'd want to use. There are pros and cons. When you're running plugins in our world, that is all restricted environment. We're very guarded about what you can do in there today. And that may not be what you need, which is why we provide the ability to reach out through a webhook and call a function, at which point you own it. You can bring in whatever you want inside the function environment. And then in the case of a declarative behavior that is also asynchronous, you make a choice. Now, for the future, in this scenario, I would strongly recommend the use of flows. This workflow segment will eventually disappear on this side. Okay? But flows are the future for this capability. Okay. So let's talk about what's actually underneath. So we're going to talk about the data tier, the data engine, the business engine inside this environment, which we call CDS, Common Data Service, not to be confused with the Common Data Model, which it is often confused with. The Common Data Model represents the data structure. It is the shape. The Common Data Service is the engine. It's the thing that gives it life. Okay? So let's say you're building out your app and you've requested an environment. What is actually happening under the covers? This is the Azure part. Under the covers, we are standing up an infrastructure to serve your environment. Okay? Remember all those decisions I said about what to store, how to store, where to go? We've made most of those. And we've modeled them out in our environment engine so that those things become available to you. You don't have to manage them. You don't have to deal with the subscriptions of them. You don't have to deal with the care and feeding of them. We manage all of that infrastructure for you. And it's all back behind a single endpoint that you can talk to using Web API or SOAP. That's all there. Now, we also, through that extensibility capability, tie in to the system to provide the ability to use event hubs, service bus, Azure Functions, and other eventing and extensibility services that are things that we're working on. but there are more coming in this regard. Our intent with this is to provide the ability for you to access data, interact with data, store data, wherever it happens to live, wherever it happens to need to be. Okay? All right. Now, I did say at the end of the day, or at the beginning of the conversation, that the Power Platform, all of its major components are built on this engine. At the end of the day, each one of these capabilities natively interacts with this capability stack. Okay? AI Builder is actually an extension. It's a new component of the infrastructure. Power BI interacts with us and in a very native manner at this point. PowerApps and Flow also interact with us in a very native manner. Within PowerApps today, when you create a solution-aware Power App, the Canvas app experience, it is natively integrated to the environment that it lives in. You didn't have to do any work to do that. It's just there. Just like building a model form today where you open the form. All right. So let's talk about applications and the application-first capabilities. When walking into the application side of the house, you're thinking about things a little differently. You start and you think about your application. What does it need to look like? That's the first question. What's my user experience? Okay, do we have Microsoft folks in the room? A couple of folks? How many PMs are in here? No PMs? Okay, there's a person that admits to it over there. A PM's job at Microsoft is to think about the user experience when dealing with any application. They're the folks that pester you on, what does it need to look like? How does it need to work? What's the flow? What's the UI? This is the mentality when you're developing an application first. You need to be thinking about user experience. How does my end customer interact with it? And then we provide the capability through the PowerApps UX engine to lay out that experience. Okay? We provide a whole set of templates for it. So there's probably a template there that gets you close to what you want. I think there's 20 or 30 of them at this point. The team constantly adds more. If you post up on the community forum and say, I need a template for this kind of thing, odds are they will generate one for you, okay, if there's enough demand for it. Or you can start from blank and just lay out a gallery control, a set of forms, and then tie it to data. So the next thing you need to do is figure out where your data comes from. Remember when I said that in the case of the PowerApps, the application, the Canvas system, the PowerApp system is a data tier, is a UI tier. So your data doesn't all have to come from the native environment. It doesn't have to come from CDS. It can come from any place at all. So you have the capability now to pull data in, and here I've just shown off just a couple of the A list. I essentially started with the top, and this is alphabetically ordered, what comes straight down from the top. Approvals flow ahead, if ally, apps for ops, timeline, so on and so forth. Okay, believe it or not, there's a Salesforce.com one down in there too. Seriously, absolutely seriously. There's a Salesforce.com one in there. Okay, you get your data from wherever you want. Your data binds into the UI. So from anybody used like Knockout.js or WPF over the history, years? I'm sorry, I'm dating myself using old terms. It is a data binding capability, which means that if I want that grid, that thing that's got the little database icon there to actually have a render in it, and I'm in the gallery control, let me step back, there is a field that pairs up with each one of those fields, and it's something you put in there on the right, underneath select data source, click fields, and it layers it into that UI, it lays out your template, and your UI auto expands. There's a lot of built-in behavior to this capability that we provide right out of the box for you. This is a low-code or no-code option, depending on what it is you're trying to do. This tool set is not if you want to totally, i.e. build and control the complete interaction of the application to the back tier. If you want to focus on the app experience, you want to focus on the user experience, this is the tool for you. Okay? Now, let's say that there's some data source that you want to access that we don't provide a connector for. Great. We have a whole custom connectors feature set built around the ability for you to build and provide a connector to this system. Now that can be a codeless connector, Anybody heard that term before, a codeless connector? Means that you have a RESTful interface that the system understands how to talk to. It can interrogate the Swagger document that's available and develop the interface on its own. It has to support one of four different authentication types that can be used to pass through. Or you can have a codified connector, which is a service that you built that exposes the Swagger interface for this to use and acts as an intermediary service. Fun fact, the CDS connector is a codified connector. It's actually one of these that is something we provide and host internally, and it has a middle tier that acts as the interface, the API service. Okay? You are completely free to do what you need in here. So if you have an on-premise Oracle database, or you have an HP-UX call center system, or a HP-UX-based billing system for your call center that you need to write a service that can talk to, you have the ability to write the service, and as long as you can admit it as RESTful data, you can suck it into a Power App, show it. The cool capability of this is that you can mix the different UX technologies now. This is relatively new. There's still a preview flag blocking most of its consumption. But if you turn the preview flag on, which you can do through this experience, you have the ability to access model forms, have a CRM form, if you will, with an embedded Canvas form. Okay? That is the first step to those two systems coming completely together. But it is our intent in the not too distant future to bring these two systems completely together from a UX tier. Now, who here got to attend the custom components framework? Things had 4 names. So what is it? As we move forward with this UX-driven concept, we are constantly faced with the dilemma of customization, building something that looks specific to what my customer or my demands are, versus our ability to support it. Okay? In the legacy CRM world, the WinForms system, the WebForms system that existed, was very structured. We really restricted your ability to manipulate it. We did it because we had to be able to service it. We've struggled with that balance, trying to find the right place. Back in version 7X, so that's 2016, 2017, we started the development of this thing that has now become the PowerApps Control Framework. Now, it originally started with, had several names along the way, the Custom Control Framework, the PowerApps, the Custom Components Framework, then it was the PowerApps Control Framework, and now I think they've settled on the name of the PowerApps Component Framework. It's all been PAC or CC, CCF of one form or another. The focus of which is to provide the ability for you to build, or the community, or the external vendors, to be able to produce controls that are consumable in the UX engine of the application and are understood as your assets. They are deployed with your assets, they're managed by you, and they're integrated through standard APIs in the application tier, the PowerApps application tier, that allows us to manage, maintain, and service it as we move forward. There is an enormous amount of controls that have already been built in the community since we've opened up the preview of this thing. We expect there to be many, many more as time progresses. This is also something that we're consistently, we haven't stopped. We're really continuing to work on this. There are going to be 2 forms of this capability. There is the form of this capability where you start with a custom control, a PowerApps component that you are working out of source code. Okay, that's going to be a TypeScript, Angular, or your favorite JavaScript language, whichever particular framework happens to be in fashion at the time, capability stack, and the ability within the PowerApps platform itself to take a collection of components, put them together, and call it a control. You want to have a common menu, you want to have a common banner, you want to have a common capability, we're going to call that a control. You're going to be able to wrap it, ship it, package it, solutionize it, and ship it amongst your systems. Just like you take a control that you built from code, package it, brand it, customize it, ship it. Okay? This is the PowerApps component framework capabilities. All right. So the last piece I'm going to talk about in this, at this point is the packaging and solutionization aspects of the system. So solutioning is part of our ability, or is our ability, to move assets from one environment to another. Now, those of you that have been around the block with us for CRM for quite a while know the solutioning system as it existed. There have been warts. I owned it for quite a while, so you guys are free to throw tomatoes at me. But we have consistently been working on it, consistently investing in it. And at this point, literally anytime you ask for a CDS environment or a PowerApps environment or a Dynamics environment, it is nothing but a core engine, CDS, with solutions. That's what it is today. If you don't believe me, go back to your machine, go back to your environment, go to the All Solutions view. Not the one that we show you by default. There's one that says All System Solutions, and you will see every aspect of the system is actually installed. Sales, service, marketing, 4 different versions of sales, the LinkedIn capabilities, all of it is there. Forms Pro, all of it is there, and is installed on demand based on what you're doing. So if you come in and you ask for a Dynamics 365 sales application, you get just that. If you ask for a PowerApps native default, didn't do anything else environment, you get just that. You don't get all the other stuff, okay? From a solutionization and a packaging point of view, we treat it the same way. As you develop your capabilities through the maker experience, you have the ability to package your assets up in a solution and deploy that and bring that forward as a zip. The second capability that we have, which is something that we see mostly used in ISVs or in advanced ALM scenarios, application lifecycle management scenarios, is the use of the packaging system. The packaging system, AppSource, by the way, anybody use AppSource? Anybody ship to AppSource? You guys are building packages. Internally, we actually use the packaging system almost exclusively. The packaging system accepts a set of solutions plus code. So you can execute upgrade actions, deployment actions, make decisions on whether or not you're going to skip a solution based on dependency management throughout your environment. It allows you to decide how your solutions are going to be deployed. It allows you to run code from the point of view of saying, okay, I've installed X solution, I need to run my data import, which it will do for you, and now I need to go manipulate a set of rows. It will provide that capability for you. That generates a solution or a package deployer zip, which in turn can be used by the package deployment system. This is a system that we're going to be innovating on pretty heavily over the next probably year to 2 years. We are bringing the solutioning engine itself and the packaging system as one thing. We're trying to avoid the need for you as a package developer to have to think about them as 2 separate concepts. We're trying to bring that together as one thing, i.e. from the instance management, from the maker export portal, we want you to be able to export it as a package and get everything you need, okay? We have consistently been innovating on this. Those of you that follow the NuGet streams where we're shipping updates to this, you're seeing lots of changes occurring as we're moving through. Today, about a week ago, we actually posted a version that had the ability to do dependency management declaratively in the package definition. You don't have to write code to do that anymore, okay? Those are the kinds of innovations that we're doing rapidly. All right, so one last thing I want to talk about, and then I'm going to maybe do a demo or two if anybody has a question about it, and then talk a little bit about futures. Azure DevOps. Who here attended the Azure DevOps workshop this morning? Oh, awesome, cool. I hope you guys got all the way through it. The Azure DevOps initiative, if you will, or the DevOps initiative in general, is again core critical to our strategy around the Power Platform. Our goal is to be able to describe every asset within the platform that is migratable using a solution as a code asset, manage, version, diff, deploy through Azure DevOps and equivalent technologies. And notice I use that term equivalent technologies. okay? We're not locking you into Azure DevOps, but Azure DevOps is our product, and we would be providing the templates and we'll be providing the examples in Azure DevOps technologies. That said, one of the biggest, I don't want to say biggest, one of a very large part of Microsoft, a company that we acquired a couple of years ago that is based in the Silicon Valley area, is a die-hard Java shop, okay? So we also are thinking about that with them yelling at us pretty consistently to make sure that it all works on Java's technology stack as well. Those are very, very key and core items. Cross-platform support for all of our developer assets. Now, what does it mean to you? It means that right now today, there is an enormous amount of work going on in the initiate process of the Azure DevOps pipeline. The ability for you to do interloop development, if you know that term. Essentially, the concept that you as a developer can check out from source code, build, test, deploy, make changes, wash, rinse, repeat, and move only your changes. To support peer review, to support the standard things that you expect to see out of Git. Now, that also drives change in the solution system. One of the most interesting changes as we move forward will be a refactoring a bit of the way the solution system actually stores things. Some of that work is in flight. You'll begin seeing that in the release builds before too long, which means if you're one of those folks that cracks the XML and starts manipulating the XML for your own purposes, heads up, stuff's changing. You're going to see things show up in different formats. We typically do not document publicly those changes, although I believe the team is going to make an effort to do so going forward because we do know that people do it. And we are trying to give you guys a heads up that it's coming. Now, why would we make these changes? Every change that we make in this regard is to support the initiate and interloop dev cycle. The problem that we have today with our solutioning system is that it is very noisy, i.e. I can deploy an app that includes form assets or UX assets to one environment, take that same thing, move it, redeploy it, take them, compare them, and they're different. And they're different from the point of view of like just ordering. And that's it, okay? These are areas that we are now investing in heavily to get solved. The first tool set that we've provided, which is available today, is focused around the PowerApps control framework. That is how we're bootstrapping and launching this piece. It is a .NET, I don't want to use the term core just yet, but it is a .NET command line capability that also has VS Code add-ins, and we will very shortly be adding in Visual Studio assets. Okay? That is how we are bootstrapping the new capabilities. Okay? So we push the reset button, going back, and we're working on that through. But the lens this time is the Power Platform, all up. Okay, so we're looking at ways to codify not only the model, security, API, and normal code assets, but also how do we codify flow? How do we codify canvas? Okay, as we move forward. The build and the release aspects are also heavy focuses. You got to play with that today in the DevOps class. We are working through shipping our own new DevOps tasks based on our existing stack and our existing technology areas. There's also a lot of innovation going on in that space. Those of you that work with our administration and management systems, specifically through the API layer, we have 2 of them today. We will be collapsing them to 1 and providing a uniform and common interface across that. Okay? What does that mean to you guys? Today, if you're Dynamics, we had 2 terms for things. We called something an organization or an instance. Okay? If you're legacy PowerApps, we called it an environment. Okay? We now have 3 terms for the same thing. Organization, instance, and environment. We will be collapsing to the term environment, environment management, environment operations, environment interactions, all of that is the concept that we're going to carry forward because the environment is the container, okay? And that's how we will be looking at things going forward. What does it mean to things that are URI-based? That's TBD. There's some stuff that are coming in there. If you're working with us in some regions, you'll notice that some of our new regions don't use the same format that we've used for years, CRM number. They're using different URIs. But that is prevalent throughout our system as we restructure pieces. All right. So with that said, we've got about 10 minutes left. I can talk a little bit about where we're going, and we can do questions. So you guys have been unusually quiet. So I will start a little bit with future thinking around the developer experiences and kind of the overarching themes, and then we can have Q&A. So overall, the concept of platform, of the Power Platform in general today, has been relegated to a support role around Dynamics. Our marketing has been slowly changing and focusing the concepts of the PowerApps SKUs, the PowerApps licensing. Those concepts are bringing the Power Platform more to the foreground. You will continue to see us do that. We will bring the Power Platform more out as a key component, okay, for your application development story. This is something that we really want to do for a number of reasons. It is the right thing for us as far as an organization business-wise, and it's the right thing for our partners. Because rather than getting monopolized down one particular product group's path, we now allowed to take input from many different groups, which in turn benefit many groups. You'll see us investing in cross-technology, cross-platform technologies a lot more. This is something that we've been restricted from in the past just due to capacity and time. But we now have the latitude to be able to begin investing in things like .NET Core and cross-platform technology stacks, which we have not in the past. Authentication-wise, authorization, identity-wise, you're going to see us build more tight relationships with things like Azure Active Directory. We're very, very tight with them now, but we're going to become more integrated with them. You've seen some of that. Actually, you can't see it because you're here. Paul Liu is doing a session right now, so catch the recording of it, where he's talking about the new capabilities and features that we've added around identity and group management. The capability to actually use Office Modern Groups and/or Azure Active Directory to control security within the infrastructure, okay? All up uniformly across the infrastructure. Those are core, sort of the key goals. We want to know that John Smith is John Smith and he has access to these 5 things. And no matter where he goes, he has access to those 5 things. Okay? You don't have to go to this thing and configure it here, and that thing and configure it there, and that thing and configure it there. We're doing everything we can to get away from that. Okay? Our packaging and our solutioning story is going to transform radically over the next, let's just say in the future. I don't want to go too specific on that, but there is some radical transformations going on within the infrastructure. Okay? We today support the ability to package and manage Canvas apps and flows. We also have the ability to solutionize, will have the ability to solutionize AI Builder and all of the project and models that go with that. We continue to expand that. Power BI is on the radar. Data flows is on the radar. The ability to do integration services and solutionization of those capabilities. Now, that requires the solutioning systems engine to think beyond just the data tier, okay? We have to think about the whole infrastructure, which requires us to rethink and redesign some aspects of our solutioning infrastructure. As I say, it's going to undergo some radical change. But that change, net benefit is good. We're not going to lose anything. But we're focused on reliability. We're focused on scalability. We're focused on debuggability as to when something goes sideways, why did it go sideways? And we're trying to make the system more tolerant of common mistakes. Now, you're seeing us do that more in front. We're doing a front loading of that now by bringing the patterns and practices checker, I should say the solution checker, up front to allow you to run and interact with that. That's something key in the overall initiative. You'll see us expand that throughout the stack. Okay? Flows have a variation that is integrated in now. We'll be doing that with the Canvas app system more tightly for formula management, formula discovery. You'll see us do it with other aspects. And it's a growing system. The system is intended to grow with you and grow with us. Carrying that thought forward, we also want to make that system available in the DevOps flows and the ability for you to consume and utilize that. And the other major focus that we're focused in on is testing support. As we move more into this space, we can't just get by with it's the Dynamics application in sales, so we've tested it and it should work. We now need to give you the tools and the capability to be able to build your own tests running the technology stack of your choice, but also be sensitive and aware of when we service and patch. So as we service and patch this system, you have the ability to run your tests. You'll see the beginnings of that in the new test frameworks that we're providing. You'll see the beginnings of that in the PowerApps checker that we're providing. That is where we're going with that concept. You'll see a big spotlight on that probably over the next year and a half. You'll start seeing that. Because it is an area of constant pain for us. When you have a problem, you guys raise a ticket, the ticket guys come to us. The way our support infrastructure has been refactored, the support talks to the dev team directly. There's no intermediary. They get pulled right into those calls. That is a fantastic motivator if anybody wants to take advantage of that with your own organizations. Plug the upset person to the engineer who can fix the problem. Stuff gets done. Fantastic way to solve the problem, and it's worked extremely well for us over the last many months since we've really implemented it. So with that, I'm going to leave it open for questions. We've got 3 or 4 minutes left. So any questions? Yes, sir.
There used to be a time where Dynamics 365 on-premise was a really good developing platform. Nowadays, it feels like we're left out and maybe on a dead-end street. So just wondering, what are your thoughts regarding what you just presented today and its future?
So Dynamics 365 for on-prem. The on-prem system is being kept alive and serviced for the Dynamics 365 customer engagement offers. That's its focus. The online system is being focused on the Power Platform. So as we move forward, you'll see us continue to invest in it that way. You won't see us bring all the Power Platform to on-prem. Okay? Yes, sir.
Hi, Matt. One of the things that you brought up was the package deployer.
Yep.
One thing that would super simplify using that would be the ability to include multiple data files and list their order of install. Because when you create trial data or demo data for AppSource across multiple products and the data gets reused, the queries get really ugly and you have to maintain a lot of orgs just to manage trial
That's
data.
actually in the list. That's in the to-do list.
So by Thursday?
Not by Thursday. I know I said now, but not by Thursday. It's in the to-do list, though.
Second consideration is when you create a field in an entity, we've always had a description field.
Yep.
And for years, we always used that for development notes. Why is this field here? What's happening with it? That got hijacked and now today is reflected as a tooltip. Could you add a field back for the development so that you can keep the documentation with the field?
That is fair feedback. There is a larger story around that as far as how we're looking at documentation auto-generation going forward. So I will take that back to the team that's talking about that.
Yeah, because when it was there, well, we're still using it.
Yep.
It makes it much easier to auto-generate it, and it's a single source, and it's always right there. Lastly, today, currently, you can build web resources, HTML pages. You can launch them from the command bar, and they just work. You can put them in the solution and install them and have no issue with that. In the past, we've been able to develop Silverlight pieces too. Going forward, I'd like to see web resources opened up so that you could use Blazor client side, because that would allow you to build a wizard or whatever you wanted to in C# using Blazor. It can be contained in web resources and completely interact the way that has always been done. And also, you could use all the controls that are available for Blazor. Yeah,
so future direction is more focused. That kind of concept is focused on the controls. The intent is to provide the custom control framework to do that job.
Well, my point is you could write the whole thing in C#.
Okay.
So if you got developers who are building plugins in C#, you can reuse their
Sure.
intellectual knowledge and go, here, build a wizard or build whatever customization you need from that standpoint using the same skill set. You don't have to go get JavaScript developers to be on two sides of the fence.
Fair
You
feedback.
got one development
Okay.
piece. Last one is, earlier you and I talked about exporting a new org in the 9.0 on-premise.
Okay.
Why does, if you create a new blank org, it took an hour to set it up, you export it, you re-import it, why on the re-import using the deployment manager does it take another hour to re-import the same thing that just got exported?
Good question. Actually, let me catch you afterwards, and we'll chat more about that because I want to get his question in before they throw me off the stage.
Sure. So it seems like the common data service and model are being developed as a replacement for the traditional data warehouse. Is that a fair assumption?
That is not.
It's not. Okay.
It is not.
So does the database environment still need to exist in some form, or where are the boundaries?
So under the covers, there are 4 different kinds of data storage being used depending on what you're doing. The descriptive, the direction we're going is using the common data service to manage the descriptor and the metadata definition. The common data model is actually essentially the definitions, and then how we store it underneath is whatever the needs are of the particular application. Okay. Now, that said, the idea where you're going to use like a data lake on the side and manage your stuff off to the data lake, this is an area that we're looking at and we're looking at in the future. But internally, we use a variety of different technologies, including data lake.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we have seen that you are going to replace the old asynchronous workflows with flows,
Yep.
are you going to do something on the synchronized side as well? Are
Yes.
we going to see synchronized flows in the future, or what is
So it is,
take on that?
yeah, synchronous flows are something, again, that we're focused on. Whether we get there or not is something we haven't yet figured out how to do. The very nature of the flow system is asynchronous. Trying to take an asynchronous system and make it operate synchronously has a lot of downsides. But it is something we are looking at. We know we need to solve that in order to completely take the dependency off the Windows workflow engine, which is a goal of ours. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Please do your evaluations, and I hope it was interesting.